Thank you, Dr. Lamb, Dr. Nix, for an opportunity to be selected for the next phase of the Inspiring Leadership Academy. I have not taken this time for granted. It's been a privilege and an honor to look at these questions and to make sure that I answer them in the best way possible. But not only just answer them the best way possible, but to make sure that I'm using these things in the classroom and we're using these things around the school and as well as in the community to make sure that our students are successful. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive into the questions. The first one is asking me, how do I ensure that I am working to create an environment that will help to close the achievement gap? And when I think about that, it's very important that as educators that we're making sure that we're building an environment where our students feel safe. If they don't feel safe, if they don't feel like they're wanted, needed, or loved, then we're going to have a hard time closing the achievement gap. So a lot of times when we think about what may be causing our students to have an achievement gap, a lot of times we're going to be looking mainly at race, and then a lot of times we're also going to be looking at the area in which the students may live in, the economic situation. It's sad to say, but we can't close our eyes to it that a lot of times, depending on where our students live, depending on what area they're in, the education system may lack a little bit less compared to living in a more higher income area. And so we as students, I mean, we as teachers, we as educators, we as stakeholders and community must make sure that our students are still successful and they're able to go wherever they want to go and achieve whatever it is that they would like to achieve in life. So looking at that, um, for us as educators, it's important that we reflect on ways on how we can continue to close the achievement gap. One way is not always going to be the correct answer. Sometimes you may have to look at it different every single year because every situation may change. You can look at Duncanville. Duncanville at one point used to be mostly a white school district multiple years ago, and eventually you had the blacks migrate in. Then now you have Hispanics, and now our district is about 60% Hispanic, maybe 30% black, and then 10% other races. And so you can never think that one way is always going to work. It's always going to be something that may have to change. And so we cannot continue to always be a traditional school setting or a traditional educator or a traditional teacher. So in order for us to do that, we need to look at a couple of things. Um, One, making sure that our curriculum instruction and assessment is always on point. That means making sure that we're bringing in the best teachers, that we are having staff developments, that we are sending our educators to places where they can continue to learn. Also, the culture. The culture has to be important. If I'm a student and I feel that I walked into an environment that I'm not wanted, there's no way that I'm going to sit down and try to learn if I feel that I'm not wanted, especially from the teacher, um, especially from sometimes even our peers. And so we have to be careful with that, that we're making sure that all students are feeling safe, that they're feeling wanted, that they're feeling needed when they come into the classroom. It's amazing, but a lot of times we are the mother, we are the father, and we show them more love than they have at home. And so they're going to show us attention whether we like it or not. Sometimes the attention is not going to be what it needs to be. Um, it may not come at the right time, but that student needs to understand that they're loved. And so the curriculum instruction and assessment has to be um, important. It has to be a key factor in making sure that we're touching all students. Again, we cannot be in a traditional setting. So some of our students may have to have some might have to have a 504, looking at some things that we can look at to help Johnny or Jill be able to pass the test or get additional help in the classroom. And they may not necessarily need sped services, but the struggle may be something that may be going on at home that blocks them from really understanding what they need to learn in the classroom. Again, staff development is so important, not just staff development in the school district, but outside the school district, making sure that we send our teachers to all those different things that will help them to improve their teaching and also learn in order to help other students. Family, school, and community engagement is so important. We know that we're going to have some families that will not participate in their child's education, and we need to look at how and why. And of course, with us having a district that may be 60% Hispanic, we need to make sure that we show the culture that they need to see in order for them to feel comfortable. That is, um, bringing in interpreters, maybe sitting down having family gatherings, game nights where the families can bring their entire family in and learn about the education and how they can be involved in that. I know that our district has the parent um, education system area where the parents can learn and come in and learn how to do Skyward so that they can follow up with their students' grades and different things like that. And that's important. Because if they're not sure and then they don't know how to if they're not sure how to be involved in their students' education, then it doesn't help the parent to be able to maybe push the student to say, let's try a little bit harder if they're unsure. School organizations. Let's bring in some outside people who will be able to uh, help us with closing the achievement gap. You'd be amazed that our community leaders, our churches, the YMCA, those different things, they're also have programs set up that will help with culture, that will help with how can we close the achievement gap in our communities, in our schools. Um, it's important also that we increase a full day of preschool and pre-kinder. At one point, a lot of our districts have half a day schools. And so when we have half a day school for a third and fourth grader who's supposed to be learning the basic things to get them prepared for kindergarten and first grade, then they already come into kindergarten lacking the necessary tools to be able to stick with their peers. And so if we had full daycare in all of our schools for our full daycare, full pre-kinder for our students, I think that would also help with improving the achievement gap. Also, I have some other things set up here. Um, it's important that our students understand how to relate the information that they're learning in math and science and social studies and English. How can they relate that to real life problems? Our students need to make sure that when they say, Miss, what do I need to use this for? That they understand that we're not just teaching you something just to have it for the test, that you're able to use this in your everyday life. And so as a teacher, I always try to relate the things that I teach to how it will help them in their daily walk. And so that's my uh, understanding of, how can I close the achievement gap. All right, next, what is your primary leadership style and why? So as an educator, it's amazing. When I first thought about it, as a coach, I coach volleyball in the district. I've always had a coach's spirit. I've always had one of those ones where I tried to definitely build relationships, but I was very auditory. I was one of those individuals where you know what I say goes, and that's how it was. And that's not gonna work. That's not gonna be able. You're not gonna be able to get far along in a leadership style. Always having a coach's mindset. My students, they love me and they respect me, but you have to learn to also die back sometime. And I've had to learn that over the years that everything is not always a coaching spirit. So um, I remember when I first got into my master's program, which I'm in school now, working on my master's in school counseling, that sometimes as a primary leader, you're going to have to learn how to have not only a coaching spirit, but a counseling spirit. Not only a counseling spirit, but a guidance spirit. That means that, hey, I'm here to coach you up. I'm here to motivate you. I'm here to move you forward, but I'm also here to counsel you, to sit you down and see what areas of improvement that you may need to look at in order for us to move forward, and also having a guidance spirit. So also as a leader, we must understand that everything is not going to always be that how I want it to be. We're going to have to sit down and be able to meet as a group, and someone else may have a better idea than you, and you might have to look at implementing those things into your your environment, your classroom, your schools, your communities, in order for it to work. And so, as a leader, it's important that you listen to the people, you listen to the students, and you take those things and you try to see how is the best way that I can implement some of those things into my leadership staff. And so, it's important that we have a participatory leadership style. This includes allowing others to help in the process of sometimes making decisions. Um, Having a vision. Okay, as a leader, we have to have a vision. We just can't go in with the mindset that it's just gonna just wave on by. What does the vision look like? Duncanville has a vision and a mission, and we try to stick by that every day. We're making sure that we're writing success stories one day at a time for every one of our students. Having courage, having the willpower and the patience to understand the vision, understand where we're trying to go. Being passionate and having the emotional intellect, that's team building and having the right people around you. Um, Understanding the leadership within your school, within your educators, within your teachers, within your students. Um, Making the right judgment. Okay, sometimes you'll be amazed that you have students. Yes, our young students have ideas that will take your school, your district to another level. And I think about the young man at the high school that is the mayor, not the mayor, but the senator. Man, oh my God, I can't even remember. But the young man at the high school who it comes from Duncanville's district and is representing the whole state of Texas. And that's an awesome opportunity. And so we have to be able to recognize that every time that all ideas are not going to just come from those that are in leadership. Um, Also, being resilient and understanding that you have to be courteous. If you do not respect your teachers, your students, your stakeholders, your community, then you're going to have a lot of pushback. You're going to have more issues than being able to gain the respect of those who you need to be able to help your school move forward. I can't move the school forward with just myself. I need not only just every teacher, but every security officer, every person that works in the lunchroom, every person that greets my students in the front office. We need all of those in order for our students to feel comfortable and safe. And so, as a leader, we have to make sure that we're doing those things in the classrooms, in the schools, in the community. All right, looking at the next question. What would be your ideal school environment? How do you establish a culture that supports your ideal environment? And so when I think about those things, in order for me to create an ideal environment that my students will be able to feel safe, I have to make sure that I am embracing a school environment where students are able to learn. If my students are not safe and able to learn, then I have not done my job to make sure that I have a wonderful school environment. Will my school environment change? Again, every situation is not the same. If I left my classroom in one setting the entire year, understanding that four of my students were not able to learn in that type of environment, then I have failed them. I may have to create a circle sometimes. I may have to put my desk in rows. I may have to put them in groups. I may have to bring some closer to me. But if I do not make sure that my room, my classroom, my school is not a safe environment, then I am not doing my students a just situation. Okay, making sure that the curriculum is relevant, making sure that we develop authentic uh, ways of measuring our students and their growth process. Again, every everything is not going to always measure our students' growth. I know that we are a district that is important. We're always looking at data. We're always trying to make sure what can we do to increase the education and the learning process of our students. And sometimes even looking at data, we understand that uh, every student may not be on the level that they need to be. but it's important that we're looking at the good things of how the student has improved, and then what areas that we can do to make sure that our student improves even further for the next time. And school environment also needs to be a place where you can voice the needs and the concerns that you have. If you walked into a staff development and it was just pound for pound, boom, 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 and you were never at you as an educator was never able to voice your opinion of what you think the school may need, then you may also have pushback from that educator. And so I remember walking into this year and walking into um, our new principal's meeting, and she put some norms, some things that she wanted for the meeting, but she also said, "Hey, I want to keep everything moving forward, but I have a board set up here for you where we can you can post any areas of concern, and I guarantee that we're going to go back and we're going to look at those to make sure that we are creating a school environment for our students, for our staff, for our community, where they're able to learn, where they're able to express themselves, where they're able to show their culture, where there's no pushback, where they're loved, and that's very important. So my ideal environment has to be a place where where we learn how to share, we learn how to listen to others, we learn how to disagree respectfully, and we have essential social skills where not only just for our students but for our staff. I've been in rough meetings before where our staff lacks social skills, how to listen to one another, and so they have to feel that they're loved even as educators. Another area, when I look at that, is making sure again that we have a we have our values and our vision in place, and so that's important for me. That what does the vision look like for our educators that year? You know, if we helped, you know, 30 out of 40 of our students pass the test, and what incentives are we giving those teachers to make sure that we tell them that we appreciate them and their daily push every day, and not just when they pass the test, but as they're going through the daily day of staying after school or coming in early or working during the off period to help sure that our students are learning. All right, the last question. How does my conflict resolution and communication help me to deal with difficult situations at school? And so when I think about that, um, to me, it's important that we acknowledge that a different situation exists. Try to be honest and clear in our communication, which is very important in the resolution process. I think it's important that we meet with individuals separately first, just so they can vent and let out what may be happening, and then sit with both parties. It's important that both parties hear what's going on, what may be the issue. A lot of times it's miscommunication or misunderstanding, and when we're both heated and we don't have someone in the middle to kind of get us to calm down and think, then we're just yelling over one another, or we just believe that my side is better than your side, and that's the way it's going to be. By letting people express their feelings in a calm setting, where we first look and examine, hey, this is how we're gonna to resolve this. This is how we're gonna explain this. We're gonna let this person go first. We're gonna sit back. We're gonna listen with a clear ear, and then we're gonna allow you to speak, and then we're gonna look at some resolutions. A lot of times, you need individuals that will come in and just be an unbiased party to the situation. Also, it's important that we have a follow up with the students or staff, whoever it may be, to make sure that we're ensuring that everything is well. A lot of times, we think sometimes that things are over with when they walk out the door, and then somebody else may get in their ear, or everything may not have been clearly, the objective may not have been clearly answered, and so we want to make sure that we're following up. So we have to have an additional meeting with each individual or with both parties again that we're doing that. And so those are my answers when it comes to how can we ensure that we're doing the great things to help our students, our staff, our community, our stakeholders, and to make our district, to make our make Duncanville ISD, to make this community that not only that I work in, but that I live in daily, a better place. And I just want to tell you again, thank you, Dr. Nix. Thank you, Dr. Lamb, for an opportunity to present my answers to these questions. And hey, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.